So the next thing that we're going to look at is a review of parallel lists. And so I made a new project directory called dictionaries and opened it up. And let's make this, call this parallel demo.py. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a list of names, and it's going to be a phone directory. So we're going to create a list of names, phone numbers, and addresses. And then what we'll do, so that'll be 3 lists, and then afterwards we'll display the names, ask the user for a name, and then display the phone number and address. So that's our pseudocode. So, okay, let's make the names first. So we'll say names is equal to, and we could use a list or tuples. We're not really planning on changing this, so a tuple probably would make sense. And we'll have Alice, Beth, and Cecil. And then the next list we want to make is phone numbers. And this will be a tuple. And I'm going to make these strings because we're not really using them as numbers. We're using them just for their characters. So 9102, and then say just some made up numbers from the example in your book. And then we need addresses. So addresses, and again a tuple with strings in it, and foo drive 23, and we'll put in Bar Street 42, and Baz Avenue 90. So those are the addresses. So we have these 3 parallel lists. And of course, the parallel, as we demonstrated before, because Alice corresponds to 2341 and foo drive 23. And so the elements in the same position correspond to the elements in the same position in the other tuples or the other sequences. So now we want to display the names. So let's just, start off by saying print names, and let's run this and just see if it works. So again, write 3 or 4 lines of code, and then go ahead and run your program to make sure that things are executing the way you want to. And sure enough, we get the names listed. We could probably do better though. We've learned how to do things with strings. So maybe what we could do is use something like this. We could say, since those are strings, we will maybe separate them with a comma. So I'll put a comma, do a comma.join names, and now we'll just list them separated by a comma. And maybe a comma and a space will look better. So we'll put a space between. And maybe we'll put a little prompt at the beginning here. So we say print names in address book. There we go. So names and address book, Alice, Cecil, and Beth and Cecil. So that looks pretty decent. And then what we'll do is ask the user for a name. And so we'll say name to look up is equal to input. Please enter a name to look up. And I think I want a space between these two, so I'll just put an empty print statement there. And let's try that. Names and address book, Alice, Cecil, and Beth. Please enter name to look up. If I put Beth, okay. And then now we need to display the phone and address. So, before we can display it, we need to figure that out. So I'll insert another piece of pseudocode here. Find name and address. Or find, well, actually, first what we need to do is find index of name. Then we need to find the phone and address from that index. So how do we find the index? Well, we say name index is equal to, just a variable, names dot index, and then we use the index method, and we'll pass in the name to look up. And just for now, I'm going to print name index just to see what I got, just temporarily. We'll get rid of that print statement later, but for now I just want to see if I'm getting the name, the index I want. And when you're programming, it's often a good idea, as you go through, don't do everything all at once. Just try doing a piece at a time. So let's run that. Let me close some of these up. I think these are confusing it. Let's try again. And then it gives me those names. And then let's see, if I say Beth, I should get 1 because Beth is at, yep, I got position 1. Try it again. And this time I will put in Cecil. I should get 2. And then try it again. So this index method is finding the index number where that name that I type in is in that overall list. So yeah, Alice is at position 0 because everything's 0 based. 0, 1, 2. So now we have that index. We can use that to find the phone and the address, because the phone is going to equal, and we'll say phone numbers. And in square braces, we're going to take that index we got from the name, pass it to that, and then we should, and we'll just test this one for now, and right here we'll say print phone number is, and I guess we could use the format, so we'll say format and phone, and we're going to put other things in later, but for now we'll do that, and we'll get rid of this print statement. We don't need it anymore. We confirmed that we have that's reporting the right index. And I'm not doing everything all at once here. I'm doing just one little piece and then seeing if that piece works, and then fixing that until we say it works. Okay, so this took that name index, passed it in here on phone numbers, which should have been a 0 for Alice. That would have gotten 2, 3, 4, 1, and yes, we did get the correct phone number for Alice. Let's run it again and test it with maybe Cecil. And the phone number for Cecil is 3158. Is that correct? Yes. So this is working, and we can use the same process here, and we'll say that the address is equal to addresses of name index. We're using the same index, because it's at the same position. And then what we'll do is we'll add here address is, and then we'll say please display address. So remember, this is a format string, and you can put in curly braces the variable that you want to display. And let's give that a try. And I think we have a completed program if this works. And so put Beth in. Address is 9102. Phone number is 9102. Address is Bar Street 42. And there we go. It seems to work. So this is using parallel lists. Because these sequences are parallel, if we get the index in one list, we can apply that index to the other lists to get what we want. So here, we're using the index method to look up the name that the user gave us in the names list, and we get a number back that gets stored in name index. Then we pass that index number with the square braces to the other two lists to get the values that correspond in those two lists to that same name, and then we're able to display it. So this is a way of using parallel lists to do basically a lookup. We look up something in one element and we find it in the other two. Basically, this is a table if you want to think about it that way, where each element is a separate column. It's kind of sideways, but Alice 2341 food drive 23 is one row. Beth 9102 Bar Street 42 is the next row. And so if you put this sideways, you could kind of think of it as a table. And if you look the element in the first column, then you can find the corresponding elements in the other columns with the index method. Thank you.